friend, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you the first update I am providing for my Pan That Palette 2023, which is my custom palette. It's super late in the year to be starting this whole project, but I don't care. We're doing it, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the official update from here on out each month. I'm hoping, as long as I can swing it, and we're off to a strong start with month one. In case you did not see the initial introduction chat about this, I'll go ahead and link it up in the cards, but I'll also flash you where the palette began before I go ahead and show you what the palette looks like after 1 month of intentionally aggressive usage. Okay, here's what my palette looks like after 1 month of intentional, aggressively tracked usage. All right, forgive me, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my legend, which will help me remember what came from where. But we have a lot to talk about because there are 3 shades that I have finished off completely since I first gave you an in-depth look at my palette. And then because of those 3 used up shadows, I've had some roadblocks with the palette and then also some exciting things. So let's just talk about the 3 that I finished off. So there was one that was up here. It was my Too Faced like random naked eye shadow. I used that up and then threw it away, and for some reason decided to keep these 2 empty pans, which are both from my ColourPop Fame palette, which I was panning last year. And I had 2 go-to matte shades that I was using as crease shades. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these out. And then what I'm gonna do is I will update my legend after our video is over with what has been removed. I don't think I've added anything. No, I haven't added anything to the palette, but if I do, I will then also update my legend so that we are quite official and professional here with this project. So here's where I stand. Once I got rid of 3 go-to crease shades, I really have struggled to have go-to crease shades because here's the truth of the matter. When it comes to the singles in my collection, I really didn't buy matte singles because I knew I didn't love mattes. I was really a person always drawn to shimmers, and if I was going to buy a single shadow, it typically was meant to be a lid shadow. So the majority of the mattes that I have in my singles black magnetic palette that I also pulled for this palette were things I took deep from other palettes that I deconstructed and then proceeded to throw away. So I didn't have a whole lot. And I'm really only left in this palette with this chocolate brown matte shade, which is from my Lorac Pro Original that I did pan. I think that was my first or second year. I don't remember when it was, but I did try to pan that 1 year. And so this was left over, but this doesn't go with enough of the looks in my palette. So it was a real problem for me. So that took me on a journey. I've been trying in particular to find a good, almost like tan matte shade to use in place of the ColourPop Fame shade that I was obsessed with. And it's taken me to new heights, new lows, whatever you want to look at it. The first I went trekking through is in my Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. This palette is real beat up. I decided one night on a whim, which I did not film, to take out all the shades in here that I just didn't want to explore or work with for whatever reason, and just left the shades in here that I actually liked. So I've been trying to come in here. I haven't found one that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a perfect creation of what I'm missing now from what I had in the ColourPop Fame palette. And then I went down a really dark rabbit hole for ColourPop, and I finally caved when they had a sale and bought the Rock Candy palette, which this color story. I knew I loved this color story when it first launched, but I told myself I did not need it, did not want it, would not buy it. But can we just take a second, look at this. And then please look at this. do we not see some parallels here? Not the exact, but I mean, pretty close. And I still haven't found exactly what I wanted, but it's closer. So I've just been dabbling. I basically am pulling out other palettes that I have and trying to find whatever crease shade I want to use, which isn't the best. It's not the most fun experience that I'm having with eyeshadow each day. I prefer with my palette that I'm panning for me to be able to just seamlessly go in there and have go-to looks. And that's what helps me just move through a palette and really make some substantial progress. And I'm not really accomplishing that. It's short-sighted on my part. I really didn't think about that when I was designing this and committing myself to this project. So I'm still like working through that particular problem. And maybe if I find something in the Morphe palette, that's my hope. I can then pop it out and just plug it in here. But on the other hand, it has helped me rule out some shades that I'm kind of been dawdling about for using. I think I also discussed last month that I wanted to just better get acquainted with what was in here. I'd kind of burrowed into some shadows and hadn't done a lot of exploration. And I have since done that, and we have a hit and we have a miss. I'll start with the hit. This ginormous mega shade that I have no chance of finishing in my lifetime is from my Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. I really hadn't touched this. I actually love this pink shade. It's really nice on my lids. However, also from my chocolate palette, this gold color, I'm not hurting for golds in here. This just does not pack enough punch. I don't love it, so it's being kicked out. I'm all set with it. With these shadows in this particular palette, I'm not going to force myself to use something that I just don't like. There's just too much variety in here, too much love for the shades that are in here for me to use it. So it's being kicked out, and I now have one less shadow that we are tracking. I also have to say I'm getting really close. I'll just move it closer to you. This is my ColourPop Hear Me Out. This is just my go-to cream shade. I've already repressed this once. I will not repress it again. I foresee this being done in the next month, which will be really fabulous that I can pull something else in. And then I may need to repress this pink shade from ColourPop Fame palette. It's, I think, the last, I'll check the legend. Yeah, this is the last shade that I have from my original Fame palette last year that I was panning. And I'm really using this a much less than I am my go-to cream. I'm really only pulling this in when I'm doing a pink look. So, you know, I will say that I'm happy with what I've got going on here. Some of my favorites, some of my standouts I really love. This top one up here, this is my ColourPop Snake Eyes. Oh, this color does not disappoint. I love the look of this. I'm also really into this shade, which is Sydney Grace's Morning Star. This shade I'll probably never hit pan on because I've used a lot of it and you just can't tell. You need the smallest amount of shadow to just spread it all over my glorious lid and look like I was just dipped in gold. It's fabulous. I love that shade. I'm also really into this Makeup Geek. This is Whimsical. This is the perfect silvery pink. It's what I have on my lids today. Like, it's just a lovely pink shade. I really do enjoy playing with it. I don't know. I have one that's kind of on the edge. I'm not sure how I'm gonna fare with my Clionadh Opulent shade. I've used it a bunch of times and I keep struggling with glitter fallout. I use I spray and then I press it. I'm not a finger application person. I've just never thrived in that realm. And I find throughout the day that it just all falls under my eyes and it's not a cute look. I don't know if it's because I have hooded eyes, if that's playing a factor, but it will hurt me because these are expensive shadows, but I'm not going to keep a shadow that I'm just not going to use. So I'm going to give this one more month, and if it betrays me, I'll probably just go ahead and pitch it. So we'll see how that fares. The purples, I haven't really leaned too hard into purple. I'm not that surprised. I feel like in the summer months, an icy purple look isn't calling to me as much as golds and these bronzier types of shades are. So it's not being kicked out, but definitely something that I'm just keeping track of. I'm not using those ones a ton. I also still have quite a bit of pan showing here. I really feel like if I wanted to, this is also from the Too Faced chocolate bar. I feel like if I wanted to, I could just finish it off in 1 month, but I'm just sort of going with the flow and enjoying the palette. My hope for the next month is, if nothing else, to have this cream finished off, and then I'm hoping I can have some kind of go-to mattes that I've added into here. That would be most ideal, so that I can still just pull out one thing versus pulling out, you know, 2 large palettes. It's just not like my jam. So that is where we stand. I feel like this update was a little bit all over the place, but you know, we're just gonna roll with it. I appreciate you being here as always, and I hope to have even more progress to track with you in July. July is trending in a good direction because I am traveling to a sorority conference, so I will wear makeup during that point in time. I'll really bring the looks, so to speak, and I will probably still be applying makeup throughout the month of July, unlike last year when I was on maternity leave and I was rarely taking the time to apply makeup. I'm striking a better like dress yourself for success mentality while also being a mother. So I'm excited about this. I hope you enjoyed my update, and I will talk to you in the next video real soon. Bye.